Hey everyone, it's Neflarium with another Familiars video, an Olympian Secret Party down, World Boss Tier 18 down, and the 15th raid. I'm only talking about Familiars you might want to make and only ones that are from that tier, no expedition or invasion. If you missed my other videos, check them out as those Familiars will carry you through this tier as well. In Tier 18 we got another new World Boss in Notorious Beef, and there's a really great Familiar found from within, so without further ado, let's hop in and see what we have. First up is Mhelves Drillo. 10% fire damage, 10% speed, and 10% in power are already great, especially when paired with a respectable stat spread of 54.9, 19.6, 25.5. He has a lot of combust skills, and when he isn't combusting, he has actually a double heal skill, which will heal the team and then heal the weakest on the same skill, which will bring your lowest health teammate all the way up almost to full. Next up is Bleexium. 20% electric resist and a 10% chance to shock the enemy attacker when he gets hit, but the big bonus here is 15% barrier, one of only a few familiars in the game that actually has barrier. Stat spread of 21.3, 60.7, 17.9 makes him a real beefy tank, and since he's one of the few barrier fams, you can put him in the very front of your team and you're not gonna have to worry about him dying that much. He does have some shock on his skills and he's got some drain, but that big bonus is barrier, where as soon as that gets procced, the enemy's attack is over. The mythic familiar from this zone is Kzulum. 10% fire damage and 20% speed are pretty nice, but his extra mythic bonus is a 50% damage to all combusted enemies, so as you're combusting the enemies, you're getting even more and more powerful. A stat spread of 35.2, 16.4, 48.3 does mean he has a little bit lower health than you might want. You will have to have a specialty familiar in order to bait for him. Glarsdos will not work. Every single one of his skills has combust, so you're gonna proc that extra damage every single time he hits. The only skill that doesn't have combust will give in rage. He's essentially the combust version of Lurky, which can come out really handy if you don't want to hit the entire enemy team at once. You want to be able to focus on one enemy. Notorious Beef is interesting because it was introduced in tier 19 but was made retroactive to tier 18. Most of the familiars here are actually found and able to be gotten in tier 18 with a couple notable exceptions. I'm only going to go over the ones from tier 18, starting with MC Nazca. 22.5 air resist just means he's an air tank. Stat spread of 44.3, 41.4, 14.2. There's not a ton special with him, but he is one of the first decent air tanks you can actually get. He has drain on 3 of his skills, and his other skill has bleed, so you can do damage over time. The next familiar is Rabeat Beat. It's a 10% air damage and 25% ricochet chance, so he's gonna be kind of doing like pinball motions there and hitting the whole enemy team. A stat spread of 31.8, 19.1, 49 is really great. He's got a lot of damage. He can be a DPS for quite a few different bait familiars and a ton of speed. A lot of his skills have bleed, so he's going to be doing damage over time with 2 skills that instantly add 3 stacks of bleed, which will also proc his brain on every single one of those stacks applied. You're going to do a ton of damage over time with this familiar. Up next is Scharappie. 15% accuracy is amazing. You're going to be cutting through evade and block with that. He does have minus 15% speed, which is not great, but it's workable. He is a nuke familiar. He's not meant to be hitting a bunch. He also has revenge, which will max out his enrage if his attack is evaded or blocked. So if your attack is evaded, your accuracy didn't proc, your next attack is twice as powerful. Stat spread of 59.6, 18.4, 22 shows that he's a nuke familiar, and he also has bleed on every single skill, so when he's hitting with those nuke skills get reapplied over and over again over time. Up next is Stuy. 10% air damage it's whatever. He also has 50% crit chance though, and that's something you cannot get up with your augments. So he's got something built in so he can get even better by stacking Empower or Dual Strike to proc all of them at the same time. 22.6, 20.7, and 56.6 means that he has a phenomenal stat spread for a DPS. He also has some bleed skills on there and the ability to give Fury and Enrage to a target ally. Fury has to be used right away, Enrage can be stored, and later on he has some spread, heal, and even a cleanse skill, so he also works well as a good support. Up next is the mythic from Notorious Beef, DaBossa. He has 25% air resist, 15% deflect, and 5% redirect. That's a really great skill for him to have as deflect. There's not a whole lot of really good deflect familiars. A stat spread of 47.3, 50.4, and 2 means that nothing is wasted. There's like no speed there, and he's a tank. He doesn't need speed. This is an amazing stat spread. Nothing is wasted. He does have some drain skills, spread, heal, bleed, and cleanse when he does get a turn, but those turns are super rare, so I wouldn't really worry about that. The big struggle with DaBossa though is that he's really expensive. This is one of the more expensive familiars in the game, and in my opinion isn't really worth going for. There are some others that are more expensive, but very few of them. He is a phenomenal familiar though. These are the familiars that I wanted to mention from tier 18. Kzulum is an insano combust DPS, and DaBossa is a great, albeit expensive, deflect tank. There are some other non-mythic options you might want to look at as well. Is there a familiar you think I skipped over that should have been included? Which are your favorite familiars? Let me know in the comments below, and good luck on your grind for the best familiars. You can also join my Discord below to be eligible for prizes, catch my newest videos, and chat with other gamers interested in the same game as you. As always, if you like this video, like it. If you dislike it, dislike it. And if you want more, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video.